Well, hey. Oh, wrong scene. Yeah, we'll get to that shortly. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Blue Gamer Blue Guys Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today, for April 21st, 2025, I'll go through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing. Yeah, stuff like that. So, howdy. Howdy, Chris. Good to see you. Glad to see you here this morning in Autonomous. You can lurk in the shadows, that is fine. As long as you're lurking, I'll be working. I don't know why I said that. Okay. Yeah, so we just had Easter. Hope everyone had a good Easter. I don't know if you did anything or hung out with family or did the holiday. There's a lot of places that have work off either Friday and Monday. I don't. I'll be working. So, but the kids don't have school. That's cool. What have I been playing? Yeah, this was a fun weekend actually. Interesting weekend. It went by really fast because of how fun it was. Let me Okay, so mainly my weekend consisted of playing G-Gen Eternal, Gundam G Generation Eternal, which is on mobile. I played it on stream last week. There's a review up on the Gundam Explained YouTube channel. And my review, it's very hard to review something like this because these games are made for such a wide audience, but it has particular gameplay from a console era that works. So it's very interesting. Anyway, that's up on Gundam Explained. I don't know how many hours I've played. It doesn't actually use Google Play, as far as I know, unless I missed something. So it doesn't track any sort of stats or achievements. Again, unless I'm missing something. And there's not many stats in the game about how many hours played. So I can't really report on that. I'd be interested to know. I mean, I guess I could use screen on time on my phone, but no, I was using it BlueStacks on BlueStacks on my PC sometimes. So. But Tempest Rising. Okay, Tempest Rising, that's I was showing it off I think last week. That's the new Command and Conquer like from Saber Interactive and some other studios, and boy, is it fun. From its release till yesterday, I put in 7 hours and 36 minutes. This game is exactly what I've always been wanting since probably Command and Conquer Generals. I think Command and Conquer Generals was the last RTS. Almost. I think that's mainly the last RTS that was what I like. There was the Act of War series by Eugen Systems. That did a great job, but I think it suffered from what I think a lot of games suffered from once the 3D era hit. RTS games, did I say that? It was visual identity is very hard for RTSs in 3D. And I think a lot of it maybe requires art direction or maybe enough graphical power to make something that's small and detailed kind of really stand out. Because luckily in Tempest Rising, all the units, I mean, sometimes it's hard to find my sniper among my troops, but generally speaking, it's easy to know what I am looking at any time. It's great. And that's the thing. The gameplay then is just exactly like, Command and Conquer. I mean, there's a few things that it does that I really love where every unit has an ability that, if you can have a lot of some units, but you want to sprinkle in a bunch of different ones. And yeah, sure. All games have always RTS games have kind of always inspired that action. What am I trying to say? But the way it works in Tempest Rising is there's such specific abilities, like expanding the range of the troops that are with you, expanding their, buffs is what I'm getting at. So you have just enough. It's almost like if you use your troops without buffs, it's pointless. And that's what I've seen. I've seen where I've gone up with a bunch of tanks with no other troops or buffs, and it seems like they don't do anything. They're pointless. But if I have just enough, like a comms officer, they increase range, and they do this. You can turn on marked target. So on these buggies, you can turn on a marked target ability that once they shoot an enemy, it marks them. And then your troops have longer range. They can then use to, anyway, all these little things that just make it fun to have a big army to send out to fight. The other thing that this game does, and I like how it does this, you could spend your time, if it wasn't timed, like most maps aren't timed, you could spend your time and sit there and just build. Even though there's an objective and a side objective, you can take your time. What the game does for this, and I don't know if it's just me or they plan this out. I feel like they plan out to make the mission enemies that are on the map, the persistent mission enemies, there's only like a certain thing they do and they're there for, and that's really just defense. But what the game does is have and for the single player, for the campaign, it has out of map enemy reinforcements to be more of, okay, here are the troops that are going to like mess with you. You know what I mean? Like as you're trying to build, like it will even say troops incoming. And it's like, okay, while I'm still trying to get this objective and maybe side objectives, I can go back here, know that enemy troops are coming, and I'll build up. So it went about adding little nuances to the classic Command and Conquer formula that I think extends the gameplay. I'm just enamored by how this game turned out. It is, I mean, I thought the demo was great, and this is beyond the demo. The original demo. I didn't play the new demo. Anyway, I recommend this game 100%. I can't wait to play more today after work. So, all right, we'll move on. The other thing I played, and this was just for testing purposes. Maybe I got a little further in it, but Resident Evil Village. I want to play it because I want to beat it because I've played every Resident Evil and I like them. But it's funny, and when I started up Resident Evil Village, and it was the same feeling I had when I played it before, where it was like, I don't really care to do this. And I hate that because there's some things that are cool. Like, for instance, that beginning area where there's that time where you have to run away and there's all those really cool monster-looking guys with the hair and all that. It does cool stuff like that, but I guess it's that. It's I don't care. There's not this like spark of interest of Resident Evil in me. Whereas for Tempest Rising, there's the spark of interest of base building, unit building, army building, that sort of thing. But at least I went back to, man, that cat is going crazy this morning. She's like just meowing to herself like crazy. Okay. And that's about it. So Tempest Rising, Resident Evil Village, and then G-Gen Eternal. That's been my game plan. Okay. Anything else to bring up or any adjacent gaming stuff? No, actually, we'll go to this cool topic before we go into news. And this is really cool. So, dang. Zelda. The cat's name is Zelda. I probably said that before. We actually rescued her, and her name was already Zelda, so. Hey, Zelda, come here. I don't know. I think because the dogs are on a walk, and so I think she's just calling for them. But, okay, so I have this PC that I put a custom case on it, but I bought it from Power PC. I Buy Power. I forget what it was called. Back in 2022, 3080 Ti, all high end. I got the high end CPU when it just came out, when you probably shouldn't have done that. Okay, and I would have some issues occasionally, and I would say, what are these issues? These are issues that I think people typically have with a PC that are very normal with a PC. Okay. And I just, over time, I'm like, I feel like there's ways that I can learn how to really get a grasp over any little thing that happens in my computer, and then I could optimize that. But how? How would I learn that? ChatGPT helped so much this weekend. So basically, my CPU has this turbo boost that I leave off because this type of CPU would, and you guys have probably heard of it. It was the 12th or 13th gen, I forget which one, where they had these issues with overheating when you overclock, whatever. But the motherboard I have has had some updates recently. Um, so I used ChatGPT, took pictures of the BIOS menu, and would ask, "Hey, this is when I have Turbo Boost on. This happens. Can you help me optimize my PC?" And it took a couple hours, but it worked. It was incredible. Having ChatGPT walk me through my BIOS, helping me understand what certain things are, where to find things, why I would tweak something a certain way, even to where we were mainly there was some things we were tweaking in the CPU after we turned on the enable the boost. There was like certain values to not allow it to exceed, and then voltage stuff, and then something to do with the XMP profile. There was also voltage on there, because then what I would do is turn on the boost. So basically have my computer on full max, right? Run a game, the computer would crash. We tuned it to where we would run on max, but just some undervolting or whatever, and the game would crash, not the computer. And then finally we got it to where nothing would crash at all. But this is with Turbo Boost on an XMP profile, which in the past I would have turned off or not utilized because of the overheating. But the mother ChatGPT walked me through all of this, and it was insane. It was insane, just where it would tell me what to do, and I'd be like, "Well, this option isn't here," and it was like, "Well, just take a picture." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then so that was what I was doing the whole time, was just taking pictures, sharing with ChatGPT. ChatGPT would tell me what to do. Even if I came across something, it's like, okay, well, this error popped up, and they're like, "Oh, well, then that means this, so go do that." And I'm like, "Ah, crazy, crazy stuff." Even we were able to get Tempest Rising with boost mode on to not crash if I was using DirectX 11. And I'm like, but I want to use DirectX 12. And we tweaked it, figured it out. So anyone out there, if you're, I still think gaming PCs can be a pain in the butt when all you want to do is game. You have to want to do this stuff. I feel like the Chat GPT situation that occurred this weekend kind of reignited my interest in building my own PC, knowing that I can have an assistant there at any time. And really the next step is having glasses with a camera or some tripod stand with a ChatGPT camera, something so it can look at real time. So I can, be like, "Hey, what do I do with this?" And then it would say, "Hey, do this, do that." I mean, we're right there, guys. We are right there. I can only imagine the super rich people in these corporations that already have these robot assistants around everywhere. I tell you, by next year, I feel like I'm going to have a little robot assistant. And maybe not a robot, maybe a little device, but it's just, oh man, I don't even use Google anymore. Okay, well, let's move beyond the AI talk. Just wanted to bring that up because that is fascinating. In fact, why don't and let me pull it up here. I want to, related to AI, I'm going to do a quick little shout out to Algorithmic Incantation. This is a new music I have that's up. I used AI, but it's not in the sense of where I just make a song and then I post it. It's like I'm tweaking this stuff. I'm editing this stuff. I'm working with this stuff, and stuff it came up with was amazing. And I wonder if this will play. Kind of get an idea of I know it's kind of loud, but that's what it sparked was with AI, I was able to manipulate and make the exact music that I would want to listen to the point to where I would want it as part of my rotation on Spotify or Bandcamp. So I was like, well, why don't I just upload it there? And also I did the art to kind of evoke the feelings I get from this. And it's funny, the skeleton on the right here, he's looking at his hand because all the fingers have the AI deformities, because that's part of this theme here. And I'm working on another one to hopefully get completed by the end of this week. I've got 3 songs done. It's just sometimes hard to really get a song down that I really 100% like the whole time. All right, let's jump into the video game. news real quick. So, okay, Super Robot Wars Y launches August 28th. This is something that, is along the lines of Gundam for me. It's turn-based, it's robots, and I know more of the Gundam stuff, but what's really cool is like, they're going to add the Godzilla Singular Point Godzilla, which if you haven't seen it, it's an anime on Netflix that's good. I liked it a lot, way more than I thought. Like I was like, what am I? It's crazy, and I think that's why it works. So yeah, they're doing the thing with the deluxe edition. Let's see, physical edition. Okay, well, nothing crazy in here. Oh, that list of the series. So yeah, we see Godzilla in there, but Macross, Mobile Suit Gundam. It's very cool. So it's not like, a Gundam robot game. It just has Gundam in it, but it's a lot of the Japanese robots. But then I guess Kaiju because of Godzilla. Okay. Palworld dev fights Nintendo lawsuit with comparisons to Fallout, Monster Hunter, and more. So I guess the idea here is they're saying, okay, in a series of preparatory. Well, I don't think I've used that word before. Briefs about February. Pocket Pair argues that Nintendo's patents in suit shouldn't have been granted because prior work using them was released before the date Nintendo claimed to have invented them. Addressing one patent about capturing characters by releasing fighting characters or capture balls, Pocket Pair argues that its own Craftopia game did exactly the same thing. So the studio lists multiple games that it argues proves that a certain feature was already known before Nintendo filed the original patent applications. It claims that Rune Factory 5, Titanfall 2, and Pikmin 3 Deluxe allows players to release a monster or capture item and fire in a direction by releasing a button. It also notes that Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Far Cry 5, I see where they're getting at here. They're like, if Nintendo is going to say that now that they own this patent, you could really go back, and there's so many video games that exist that probably have these same sort of things that done intentionally or non-intentionally. And I think that's what they're trying to prove with this. It also notes, Pikmin 3, Far Cry 5, Tomb Raider, Pocket Souls, Octopath Traveler, Monster Super League, Final Fantasy 14, if that's 14. Allow players to pick Traggets on a Tragget. I know that's a misspell, but that also seems like that could be something. Anyway, defending another patent related to capturing characters, Pocket Pair. And then it makes me think, how many people have read this that this author knows that was like, hey, man, that says Traggets? Andy Robinson, 12:03 p.m. yesterday. So since then, no one has said, hey, man, you have Traggets in here and not targets. It makes me wonder how many people read this website. Okay. Defending another patent. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I think it's good that Pocket Pair is fighting back. Nintendo shouldn't do this. What good are you doing, Nintendo? Is it for you? Okay. Well, you got a lot. But what Nintendo did that was cool was bringing back Paul Rudd. He did a commercial back in the 90s for SNES, which is crazy because I remember when it was revealed that was Paul Rudd, but at the time I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know who he was until I think Clueless or those movies, early 2000s. And then that's like one of those like trivia about him. So it's cool. I mean, I bet that's an easy play right there because that marketing right now, it really works when you do these callbacks to the generation right now that the 90s they grew up with. I think, it's funny because I think about what 5-10 years ago they were Star Wars or Disney was really banking on people that grew up with episode 1, but I think they still have another 10 years once you get those people a little older, like in their 40s. That's when it's really going to hit. Anyway, I just think it's cool they did that. Okay, Rocket League-inspired football game from Sifu developer skyrockets on Steam. The rematch beta test already has more peak concurrent players than FC25. So this is something I've always thought that, like, we have where sports games do really, really well, but there's not many other sports games. And I think that's a couple of reasons. One, it has to do with licensing, but also two, it's like once that developer that has the license kind of made that game that then becomes the sticking point, Madden forever, and then the 2K game, the NFL 2K tried to come in, so I think it's very interesting that you have this game that comes out that beats FC 25. That's very interesting. So the open beta test for the competitive 4v4 and 5v5 sports title kicked off on Friday, and Rematch's peak concurrent player count quickly cleared 118,000 on the first day. I didn't even know about this, but I did. I think I saw a trailer or something, but I just don't really care about the sports games. But I'll play them if they're good. I think that's the thing. There's a difference between playing a sports game because it's a sports game and playing a sports game because it has a cool, interesting mechanic. So that's more than the all-time peak concurrent player counts of EA Sports FC 25 and more than Rocket League managed in the same period. It's interesting how low it seems Rocket League is when it's that popular, but I think that's just saying how popular FC 25 is, which in turn tells us how popular this game Rematch. It's called The Rematch or just Rematch. It will come out July 19th for $29.99, not on Switch. Interesting. Well, good on them for being popular and beating FC 25. I hope that does something for the sports games in the industry. All right, Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2 uses DLSS, making it the first Switch 2 game confirmed to use it. Okay, I was curious about this because we hadn't heard too much about it. I think we're still learning about all that NVIDIA stuff. DLSS, which stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling, is a suite of which has been AI that has existed for a long time, is a suite of tools which can increase a game's resolution without a significant performance penalty. We're using a version of DLSS available for Nintendo Switch 2 hardware powered by NVIDIA's Tensor Cores. The game utilizes DLSS in all four modes in handheld and docked, and the performance and quality variations of each. Interesting. So there's going to be, you could choose from performance and quality, both handheld and docked. That is interesting. That's a lot of content for people to make out there, comparing the four ways that you could play it. While docked, quality mode runs at 30 FPS, while performance mode runs at 40 FPS, which would presumably only work on TVs that support 120 hertz. Fascinating, isn't that? You're only getting the 40 FPS, but it only works if you have 120 hertz. In handheld, quality will run at 1080 30 FPS, which that does not seem bad at all. And then performance 720 and 40 FPS, which that seems good. Switch 2 is powered by a custom NVIDIA processor, NVIDIA GPU with dedicated RT cores. And see, it's like custom stuff, and people might be able to relate it to current graphics card or something, but at the end of the day, it's custom. Very, very neat. Okay. New Mario on Switch 2. Stay tuned, says Nintendo of America president. Yeah, I think what it's saying here, many people were expecting there to be a mainline 3D Mario, but I in my opinion, I don't think it's a good idea anymore to launch your Prime mascot game on release day of a console, because not everyone could get the console, and then that translates to sales. The smart thing to do is release a console right before the summer so kids have time to play it, and then by winter have the mainline game come out, so then there's more stock for Christmas. A lot of people already have the console in anticipation for it. And I kind of just described what Nintendo's been doing recently with the Wii U, the Switch 2. It's they release these things in 3DS, right? Yeah, right before summer. Or in this case with Switch 2, it's right at the beginning of summer because of all the stuff going on. But yeah, then you get those early adopters. You get people with the time over the summer to spend time on it, and then by winter, that gives time for people that missed out on the first time to get their stock. And then by then you have a mainline game that can get good sales because you have that hardware out there. So I'm assuming that's what they're going to do. And I think the Mario Kart, idea makes sense because I think there's people that are more dedicated to playing Mario Kart than buying a Nintendo console to play the latest Mario. I really do think people are all in, just because of how much Mario Kart 8 has sold across Wii U and Switch, considering the Wii U didn't do that well. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so for this, I wanted to kind of look at some of the video game releases now that we're at the end of April. And actually go through here, see if there's anything. Yeah, I played Steel Hunters for a bit. That was pretty cool. I just don't think I have the time right now. Yeah, and a lot of other things I didn't get to. That and then some things like South of Midnight that I played just enough of. Yeah, Commando's Origins, didn't get into that. Blueprints, man, people were talking about that like crazy, and that doesn't look like my type of game. Looking through here, anything that maybe I missed? Okay, so the 21st, what do we have? That's funny. Tempest Rising is 24th, but again, I think if you got the deluxe edition on PC, you can already get it. And that's the thing, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, I really want to get, and I think this is going to be a great palate cleanser in between sessions of Tempest Rising. Okay, so the Lunar Remastered Collection, that's something I also want to jump into now that I haven't even gotten back to Chrono Trigger yet, and I need to. What I'm actually waiting to do is I am upgrading my ROG Ally, and so it's actually out of commission right now. But I'm going to put in a new D-pad and a new grip thing on it, and because I feel like something like Chrono Trigger is something I want to do portable, not sit at the computer. Like with this weather, I think a JRPG outside, amazing idea actually. Now that I think about it. And so yeah, I want to play the Lunar games. Always looking them up in the magazines back, in the day. Anyway, that's about it. I think there was enough to talk about where I didn't need to do any gameplay, and there's nothing I'm really compelled to play. Like, I really can't wait to get to Tempest Rising later today. And yeah, I think it'll be a mix of playing that, and then maybe jumping into Resident Evil a little bit. And then obviously on the side, it's playing that SD Gundam game. But, knowing my habits, I think it's one of those things where I think I've gotten to the point, and I guess I had already done my review before I kind of got to this point in the game where, but this is normal with all mobile games, so I was kind of alluding to it. But it really is at the point where I do have to kind of wait and get my resources before I can continue playing and doing what I'm trying to do. It's already gotten at that point to me. Luckily, I've pretty much cleared the Gundam, the Zeta, and the Double Zeta, and that was my main thing. So it's like that to me, I don't feel like I got enough time out of it. So I will still be playing, but now I'm at the grinding part of the mobile game. It's not as fun. And that was that's my main complaint, is there's that layer of the mobile monetization grind on top of G Generation Eternal. And then I turn around and say, well, hey, it's a free G Gen on mobile. So it's hard to complain. All right, guys, well, that's going to be it for me. I'm going to head out. Thanks for tuning in on this kind of holiday Monday edition. Just kind of updated on playing Tempest Rising, using ChatGPT to tweak my BIOS settings. That was amazing. But I'll be back tomorrow with some more news. So until then, be cool.